Let's start with the presentation. Let's dive into the financial planning and what it really means, financial planning. Next slide, please. Your life cannot go according to plan if you have no plan. I don't know if you ever heard this quote, really, but that captures the essence of planning. So why planning is important? Well, because it forces you to define, prioritize, and set your goals. You are deliberately taking the time to think about it. Okay? And the financial plan is a critical part of an overall life plan. Financial planning is an ongoing process that aims to give you financial peace of mind by making the most of your assets and helping you meeting your goals. Next slide, please. So, what is the first step in planning? What do you do? Well, set your goals is the easiest answer. Most of us never take time to identify our goals, and this could be because, we are busy, or we are not sufficiently organized, or maybe because we are on a bit of the procrastinator side, or simply because we feel that it's never the right time, given all changes in our lives. But in reality, setting goals is the starting point to all financial planning. And how do you do that? Well, imagine your life. Next slide, please. Imagine your ideal life. Have you ever imagined how your life would be if you could buy a new home? Or if you could travel more often? Or if you do that, you're already beginning to plan. Take some time to think about what you really want and what is important to you. What kind of home would you like to live in and where? Do you want to travel? And then if yes, how often and whereabout? In short, imagine your ideal life. Be optimistic, ambitious, but also realistic. Here are some questions that you might find helpful to get started, and some questions like, do you want to take care of your parents when they are older? When do you want to retire, and what does retiring comfortably mean to you? And one of my favorites, how many vacation or holidays do you want to take a year, and where do you want to go? So all those questions help you to think about it. And thinking is planning already. So next slide. What do you need to do now that you've thought about, what is your ideal life? The next step is to write down. Write it down. Write as response to your questions and any other thoughts that come to you. Because once we finally see a written response, a written plan, it is much easier to look at how we can arrange all of it. First, I would say start by grouping your short-term goals together. These are the goals you can probably achieve within a year time frame. So those are the short-term goals. So anything else that requires longer plan, longer time to achieve, that falls under the long-term goals. So you have now short-term goals and long-term goals. And your next step is to go through each of these items and decide, okay, if it's a want or necessity. And let me say that again, want or necessity. And in order to give you a list of it, there would be like a want and necessity can be, I need to own my home in the next 2 years. Or I want to buy a vacation home for my family. I need to pay for my child's postgraduate education. Or I want to become financially independent by age 55. Wants and necessity are not the same for each one of us. But what we should all do is prioritizing our necessity before our wants. And prioritizing your goals will ultimately help you to budget not only your money, but also your time, attention, and effort. Finally, draft an actual timeline. Set up a time frame. Assign an estimated date to each goal that works best for you. Remember to stay optimistic, ambitious, and most of all, realistic. This is not a competition, really, but instead, you should set your ideal pace to arrive at each goal. And how do you do that? Well, you make a plan. So when you write the goals, you are in control because you're determining what you want to happen. Remember, you are in control. Now you want to make a plan to map out how to make it happen. So think about it in this way. If your organized list of goals is the destination, Making a plan is preparing for the journey. And preparing for the journey means finding a path. Next slide, please. I always say knowledge is power. So when you, with your organized list of goals, you know where and when you want to arrive. So you have your destination and you are in control. Now you have to find a path that will take you to each destination from where you are right now. For example, let's say you want to buy a property in 2 years' time. So what do you need? What kind of expenses are you going to, incur into? Legal expenses, taxes, etc. You want to consider every single thing about, getting to the final destination. And, when you start putting together all these things together, it might seem like a lot to consider, even overwhelming. But this is why research is important. And then the more knowledgeable you are about the journey to achieve your goals, the clearer the path will be. The knowledge really is power. And so adding up the cost to set an overall financial target, for instance, will help you to stay focused and dedicated. We keep saying stay focused, be realistic as well. This is very, very important. You can also break down your target into smaller milestones to appreciate your progress and stay motivated. At this point, every little helps counts to get you to the end results. Next slide, please. So you start your journey to make it happen. You have established your financial target, right? So the next step is to create a monthly budget to align it with your timeline, the time you set before. Creating a budget, simply put, is making sure your income and expenses are balanced. So taking into account how much would you like to save on a monthly basis. So make it happen. To create a monthly budget, first take a look at your income. Then review your daily routine and your expenses. Think about expenses that are fixed, like rent or utility bills, and those that are variable, like eating at a restaurant, for instance. Remember the necessities and wants that we were talking before? Well, this pretty much is all about planning. So now you want to subtract all your expenses from your income. This will make it clear whether you're spending more than you make, and if you do that, then you want to spend less, of course, because you want to save part of these expenses. Sounds obvious, but very often is overlooked. So once you have a monthly budget, try to map out your budget for 6 months to a year. So give you time to think about it. This helps to anticipate when your money might be tighter so you can adjust accordingly. Holidays, for example, are typically require more spending, especially if you have a large family like me. A longer-term budget will also tell you if you need to increase your savings to achieve your goals in your desired time frame. Remember, it's not a competition, right? You're setting up your own pace, but then you want to be focused, you want to be consistent. And you can decide, based on the budget you have, a monthly basis, you can decide whether you can reduce your spending or explore your additional ways to earn income, for instance. So budgeting, in an essence, is a great habit to keep throughout your financial journey. Knowing your spending habits can help you detect unusual charges more easily. Again, knowledge is power. So the secret here is to be realistic as well as consistent. We also have tips for you, and we encourage you to look at the website in unfsu.org/budget. We have a new feature which is really simple and easy to use. So when we start planning, we do have resources. Next slide, please. And use your resources. Well, so what are your resources? Well, the resources are financial tools such as your savings, loans, and investment that you can use to achieve your goals. One of the tools is the savings account. And next slide, please. So saving, it is extremely important to put money aside each month for the future. This is a given, right? But again, we don't do this very often. So having a safe pot ensures you that you can deal with financial emergencies as they arise. We do recommend that you have an account dedicated to your savings. Just take it away. Don't look at it. Just put money away. Open a savings account that allows you to make unlimited deposits and try to keep enough money in this account to cover your expenses for at least 3 months in the event you are not able to work, or even longer in case. So build up to have enough money to cover your expenses for 6 months. That is your safe pot. This can help with large unexpected costs like medical expenses or car breakdown. In addition to covering unforeseen costs, try to save about 10 to 20% of your income on every single month so you can achieve the goals you identified and prioritize early. That is your destination of the journey. You want to make sure that you will reach to the destination as soon as possible. The amount you save will determine when you can realize each goal, so align your savings with your timeline. Again, be realistic and consistent. Once you have determined how much you want to save each month, simply automate the process. Get automatic transfer to your savings account from your account. This will give you peace of mind, and especially more importantly, you won't forget to transfer the money. Always keep a track of your expenses and keep them under control, and reevaluate them every few months. Again, remember, you setting your own pace to reach your target, but it's important that you're consistently looking at where you are at every point in time. Next slide. Another tool is borrowing. And borrowing, let's face it, is a fact of adult life. Okay, almost everyone needs to take out a loan at some point to pay for expensive items. And a loan is a leverage, really. You can use it as a leverage. For example, you can decide to invest in your education in your future, but then you need a loan, an education loan for that. So, or you want to have a vacation, or you need to buy a new car, for instance. This is tools that you can use loans for. So the biggest advantage of borrowing money is, of course, the opportunity it gives you to obtain the very expensive item that you cannot afford otherwise. By borrowing, you can reach your goal sooner. But again, you need to be realistic. Don't borrow more than you can afford. You don't want to overstretch yourself financially, so you want to make sure that you will be able to make your payments on a monthly basis in a comfortable way. So if you already have multiple loans or credit cards, for instance, with high balance, start paying your high-end balances first. Or if you want to, you can consolidate in one single loan in order to reduce your monthly commitments. So you need to be, aware of the tools that you have available. And you also, next slide, please, you want to be smart, I would say. So before borrowing money, always review your budget and savings. That's why planning is so important. So really be smart. If you can readjust your budget, and if you have enough money in your savings to pay for the expenses, then you might not need a loan at all. Just remember to keep enough money in your savings account to cover the 3-6 months of emergency expenses that we were talking about before. And don't use the emergency funds except for emergencies. Sometimes it's very tempting. I've got money there, let me use it. No, forget about it. Those are for emergencies only. So before applying for a loan, also know the loan repayment period, or simply known as the loan term. Now, we always say to be smart, because you need to check around. You want to look at the term of the loan, for instance. You know that if you take it like a 10 years loan, you have 10 years repayment period, and the loan will be ending in 10 years' time. But also, and that's not the only component, you want to look at the rate of your loan. Look at the rate of your loan carefully, because the rate is the amount that is being charged on top of the loan amount that you're approved for. So if you're taking $10,000 loan at the interest rate, you will be paying the amount taken plus the interest rate. Also, shop around and look at the small prints and conditions. The reason is simple. Some banks, they will be adding additional costs when it comes to borrowing money. And, can be set application fees, can be loan processing fees, even late charges or early payment penalties for paying your full balance ahead of time. So be smart, shop around. You might find better deals. For instance, at UNFCU, we don't charge this kind of additional cost, and we don't penalize you if you have the chance to close your loan earlier than expected. The other thing is be prepared. Next slide, please. Life happens. Be prepared. And how you can be prepared? Well, let's see into this. Next slide, please. So plan your legacy. This is very sad, but unfortunately it happens. So if in the event of you passing away, it's best to leave your loved ones, your family, with clear instructions on how you want your assets to be distributed. So writing a will be one way of doing it, and it certainly is the first step. But moreover, as an UNFCU member, you should also add at least one beneficiary to your savings checking or share certificate. And you can do this easily. Even with a will in place, having assigned a beneficiary to your accounts will provide advantages to the family, to the surviving family. And we will show you a video later on about beneficiary. Also in this video, you can see how easy it is to do it and change a beneficiary or add beneficiary through your digital banking. Because life happens, we also have insurances, thanks. So you can prepare for unexpected by ensuring that you and your family have enough insurance coverage. We'll list some types of insurances. It can be health, it can be property, home, auto, disability. I mean, all those insurances, it makes perfect sense, and you're all aware of it. So although UNFCU doesn't provide insurance coverage, members can purchase insurance through products from our partner, Clements Worldwide. And we invite you to visit the website at clements.com/FCU. You can find solution to your needs. Next slide. Last but not least, plan your estate. So we've been talking about buying a property, but now you want to plan ahead. So, estate planning, like insurance, can also help you prepare for the unexpected. How much is your estate worth? And so we recommend you work with a professional with an estate planning expertise and knowledge of the legal process and tax laws in the regions where you have your assets. Because every region is different, really. So look ahead, plan ahead, and take some steps. We have like 6 steps that you can take. Let me go through this. Calculate your estate size by compiling a list of your assets and loans. Again, this is very good on paper, but we fail to do that on a regular basis. But then once you start planning, it's not that complicated. The list can be on a piece of paper or digital. Make sure you keep the list in a secure location and make sure you update the list. Second step is decide on your objectives. Remember your destination. Well, your objectives allow you to outline what you want to happen to your estate after you pass. Who's going to get the money? Who's going to get estate? Family members? How are you going to be giving this to them as well? All these things that you need to plan ahead. Then keep your plan flexible. Again, be realistic, but then determine your own pace. With a flexible plan, you can make changes as your life situation changes. Provide for liquidity. Make sure you have enough money available for unexpected expenses. Aim to minimize taxes if you can, of course, and schedule periodic reviews with your professional estate planning advisors. So every single plan is not set in stone. You can change it and make sure it's up to date. So please do that more often with everything, with the financing, with the planning ahead, with your estate, with the insurance, and make sure that you have up-to-date coverage on things that are important to you. Next slide. So, again, thank you for joining today. And this is the first time we're doing a financial fair, and we are very thrilled to provide you with, advice and tips. And, we hope that this presentation will help you start your financial planning if you haven't started yet. But if you already started, good for you, great. Hopefully we have gave you some tips and advices. And for more information, again, please visit our website at unfcu.org/learn. And we're also available for you in case you have questions. Thank you very much. Thanks, Joanna.
Thank you, Max, for this very interesting presentation. We have some questions from our participants. One question, which I find very interesting, is, have you achieved your personal goals, and share what challenges you encountered on this journey? And this question is from Edward.
Sorry, Joanna, can you repeat the question? I didn't get the
Absolutely.
part.
For sure, Max. So the question is, have you achieved your personal goals? And if you could share what challenges you encountered on this journey.
On me personally, well,
yeah, you personally.
I don't know if I've achieved my personal goals. I will say that it's still ongoing, really, because the goals changes all the time. And that's why we keep saying being, realistic, but also be flexible, because you need to adjust to the changes. Certainly, to me, one of the most important things is to have a property and, provide security to my family. So I'm putting, my financial plan this is my destination. So I'm making sure that I save as much as I can towards this goal, and that provides me peace of mind, knowing that my kids will be able to get the best education, so they will be financially independent in the I would say in the medium term. That provides me peace of mind, and that's what drives me. So,
thank you,
and
Max.
then in the short answer is still ongoing. That's it. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Max. So we have another question. What UNFCU products can help Geneva-based staff or European-based staff on their personal financial planning?
Well, we do have, it really depends on what kind of goal you have in mind. We do have accounts, savings accounts, we'll be discussing this before. We do have share certificates where if you're planning to save for longer term, let's say 1 to 5 years, we do have share certificates. In Europe, we call it bond. It really depends on your circumstances. So each one of us is very, very different, and we might have like a short-term goals, long-term goals, and this is what we were talking before. So I will say, come to see us, set up an appointment with the office, and we will, look at your own situation and try to tailor-make the solution around your needs. That's the best advice I can give you.
Thank you, Max.
Thanks.
So we have another question that is, he's asking, we have been talking about multi-currency account for some years. Will this ever happen? Is this something that we will be doing in the future?
The short answer is no, it's not going to happen, because and it's true, we've been working on, we had worked on the multi-currency for many, many years. But, there were some challenges in doing so. Also, the nature of UNFCU, and Valentina will explain to you what UNFCU is, kind of prevent us to provide these multiple currency accounts. That being said, we do have partners outside of UNFCU that can help you with other currencies, investments, and so on. So again, stay tuned with Valentina's presentation, because she will talk about this as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Max.